Classic Rock in the Car Blog. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday. I'm on the way to work. Nobody tells you, remember that God loves you. Christ loves you. And I love you as well. I'm praying for you guys. Hope you guys are praying for me. Wrestler of 13 years. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you all subscribe to C3 Ultimate Wrestling. That is me and my wife's professional wrestling company. We are uploading our matches from the last show, the 11th hour, the main event. Joseph R. Credit versus D'Angelo Steele for the C3 Ultimate Wrestling title will be dropped tomorrow, Friday. That is the final match of the show. So make sure you subscribe to both channels. Subscribe to the Take It On podcast, and then also subscribe to C3 Ultimate Wrestling for both wrestling content and wrestling match. You know, some of the stuff that I talk about with other companies and stuff that I disagree with, I usually, I don't want to say do the opposite at C3, but usually you will not see what I complain about on C3 Ultimate Wrestling. I think I love the wrestlers, I love the staff and everything. If something does mess up, I hold myself accountable. It's not it's such and such fault, or it's my fault. It's just one of those things. You know, I see wrestling as a form of serving and servitude, right? So I try to make sure like these people are spending their money, regardless if it's $5, $10, or $15, they're spending their money to watch great wrestling. They may be supporting, but I also want them to be glad what they have. I just want to say that too. What's going on, Raphael? God bless you. So the question of the day is, why watch something you constantly complain about? Now, this isn't even a question to y'all. This is a question I want to answer for me. I do know that a lot of people, they are content creators, and sometimes their content is always about talking about a company. Now, it doesn't technically have to be negative, but if something that happens they don't like, they will be vocal on it. And that's where I'm at. It's not that I hate the product that AEW and WWE says and produces. It's just that I don't like a lot of things about it. Now, the option obviously is to say, hey, if you don't like it, why watch it? Why even speak about it? Respectfully, I'm going to answer that I can do what I want just as much as anybody else can do what they want. And I mean that so respectfully. But at the same time, I do like to bring up thought. I do like to say, okay, this is my opinion on it. And sometimes people speak about it as well. They'll say, okay, well, this is how I feel about it. Like even yesterday when I was speaking on a live, I was talking about the Gail Kim and Rio situation. And some people were like, okay, well, Gail Kim was smaller than Awesome Kong and stuff like that and all that. And I'm like, okay, cool. These are things that you can bring to the table. Even when I was talking about Gail Kim's comments, I was talking about what people were saying on X, formerly known as Twitter, and some people had valid points. But first and foremost, if you have a camera and good working internet, you can say what you want about a lot of stuff. Now, there's consequences to it. Obviously, when you're looking at the climate of everything all around social media and the world and news outlets, but still, you guys know that for the past year, like, I haven't been a big fan of WWE's product as far as PLEs. I just have not. When they went to ESPN and did WrestlePalooza last week, I wasn't excited about it, so I didn't watch it. I didn't subscribe to it. I watched it just to see it and see was it even worth the $30, and it wasn't. So some people will be like, well, Chris, you've been talking about WWE PLEs for the past year or so, and you have not liked it. So why do you still watch it? Why do you still look at it? Why do you still make videos about it? Same thing with AEW. Why do you still look at clips? Why do you still talk about something that you don't like the product? Because one, I don't hate the products. I don't hate the companies. I actually want what's best for both of them because they employ hundreds of wrestlers, thousands of staff most likely. And I don't want them to do anything that jeopardizes their livelihood. I'm not in the business of seeing people get fired or released unless they're unsafe or irresponsible. That's just one of those things. Like even when WWE was cooking stuff, I didn't want them to go to the fact to where AEW was going to go out of business because people work there. That's the whoever. So there's so many stars, correct. So That's what I feel. However, I also feel like as a consumer, I can have an opinion. I can bring up history. I can say I don't like this because of that. I have the right to do that. I can keep it to myself, or I could put it on a computer or online, on my phone, on my computer, or whatever. And that's definitely fine. I do think that we are living more in a time, especially with social media, basically running a lot of stuff to the point to where if I'm going to a restaurant, the consumer and the producer, the cook, the chef, the person who owns the restaurant, they cook something, and if it's not good, I can make a review online and say it's not good. Or if the service is bad, I can sit here and say the service is bad. Now we are living at a time where some people will not listen to the customer, the consumer, and improve the product. They'll put a whole paragraph about the bad experience that the customer had, and that might not even be true. I don't mind supporting businesses and stuff like that, but if the service is bad, I don't care how good the food is. Or if the service is great and the food is bad, I'll probably say, oh, I like the service, but the food is bad. I'm not coming back to a restaurant because the service was wonderful and if the food was bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. Both have to be at least decent. I feel that both companies need to push the young, healthy stars. And that's the thing, Raphael. That's a good point. This would be a time to push some of the younger stars. Now, Adam Page, he's getting up there, but he's still, I don't want to say relatively new, but he's still popular. So they're doing good. The Swerve stuff was good too and all that, but still, like, the title picture is always repetitive in both companies. Seth is almost 40. Punk is 40, over 40. So it's like, it looks like they're going to be feuding all the way up until WrestleMania. What about the youngest stars? Cody, about to be 40 soon, probably. You know what I'm saying? He's feuding with guys that's been in the business for 10, 15 years and stuff like that. And it looks like Sammy may eventually win the belt. So, you know, Sammy is a veteran in the game. And I do think that Sammy's win, if he wins, will be very, very emotional. But he's a star already. So where's the new stars at? When it was the Bloodline, right? When the Bloodline story and the Cody stuff was going on and Gunther was very, very hot, I knew that they weren't going to make no new stars because this is what people wanted to see, or this is what people commented the most about. Now you have a time. If you were going to elevate Montez Ford, this would be the time. Do I think they're going to do it? Of course not. It's WWE. AEW just be doing anything and hopefully that it throws to the wall. So people will be like, Chris, if you're looking at this stuff, why are you still complaining about it if you already know what may happen in the future? Because I don't mind being wrong. See, and that's the thing. I may have an expectation and stuff like that, but I don't like bragging if I'm right about something that impacts in a bad way. I do not mind being wrong. If y'all sit here and y'all start elevating Montez or some new people, or Oba Femi shows up and y'all put a rocket on his back like they did Stephanie Vacour, sure, I'm for that. Push Oba. Oba is that dude. Oba's awesome. Ricky Saints, same thing. If you want to do stuff like that and shake the landscape of things, by all means, do that. But at the same time, history repeats itself. It doesn't matter if it's Vince. It doesn't matter if it's Paul. History repeats itself. Sammy should have been champion. And Owens was Universal Champion, but it was a horrible reign. I don't know if you remember. It was horrible because he was overshadowed by Chris Jericho in the list. Because remember, Finn Balor was the first Universal Champion. He was the first one, but then he had to vacate it the next day because Seth, with the buckle bomb, dislocated his shoulder and he had to get surgery. So that night on Raw, it was like a fatal four-way or something for the Universal title. And people probably thought that Seth was going to win it back, but then Triple H turned on Seth and Owens won. And then when Owens won, they decided to tag him with the fellow Canadian Chris Jericho. They made magic, but it made the Universal title secondary because people just wanted to see Chris Jericho in the list. And then eventually he lost it to like in 3 seconds to Goldberg because Jericho distracted Owens, and then Goldberg gave Owens a spear and gave him the jackhammer. Like, the run wasn't even that good. It could have been, it had potential, but it just wasn't that good. And honestly, they could give Owens a run when he comes back and heals from surgery. But Yeah, he got beat by Goldberg. So, but yeah, they definitely can push new stars. But also, I think they need to improve the quality and the content. Like, people are still going after that ESPN writer. Like how dare you be a fan of AEW and talk bad about WWE? I'm like, that event wasn't it in our opinion, and that's what it is. And yeah, and Brock won. Remember, like Brock and Goldberg were like win the belts like every time they were like challenged. Like, it was so crazy. But still, I do watch the product sometimes, and I do wish that it can improve. Now, if it does get to a point where I can't stomach it anymore, I do not mind not watching it anymore. You know, this channel specifically is for wrestling content. So there's other wrestling companies. You guys know that me and my wife own C3 Ultimate Wrestling, and hopefully you guys subscribe to the channel. I talk about that here. I talk about certain things. I review the matches that happen at the event, especially one being a part of the event and also being in one or two of the matches. So I do these kind of things. So it's just like, if there is a time where I do feel like I don't want to look at AEW or WWE, I have a lot of content. There's independent wrestling. I got friends with people. I'm friends with people who own other wrestling companies, and sometimes I promote their show or what's going on and stuff like that, especially if it's moving forward with the wrestling culture. But we have to realize that, you know, when you guys ask people questions like, if you don't like it, why watch it? You know, the wave of social media is commentary for the most part. It's commentary for the most part. So most people, they'll disagree with somebody. They say it's a politician or non-politician or a wrestler, or people who have podcasts that be like spewing negative stuff about relationships and the men and the women and stuff, right? You have a lot of people that do that stuff, and what they do is, some people will commentate. They'll play the video, press pause, and speak about why they disagree with it. That's just the way of the world, because sometimes people do want to provoke thought. They want to provoke thought. They want to say, hey, maybe I can give my insight, or let me tell you guys what I don't like. Arshawn from Critically Drinking, right? Shout out to him. He doesn't agree with a lot of certain things that's going on, and he'll bring it up. He'll speak about it. He'll speak about topics. He'll say he'll disagree and why he does disagree. Shout out to Kev. Yella, he'll get on there. They'll talk about it. Kawhi Bree, shout out to her. They'll do those kind of things, and they'll speak about it, and then they'll have people on the panel. I've been on the panel a couple of times too. And sometimes we'll be like, okay, I disagree with y'all on this. I'll speak about this. Or maybe I have an insight on something that maybe they don't have. Or they have an insight that I don't know much about. And then that's how we like provoke thought. Me, I like the content. I don't mind speaking about it. And I also be like, you know, I don't mind listening to people who basically disagree. That's fine. Drew needs to win. Good morning. God bless. God bless you, Nathan. Thank you. I appreciate that. I receive it. Drew needs to win, and Finn. And Shinsuke, I think, is out the door. Drew, like, even now, and pulling the curtain back, they're saying that Cody and Drew wanted Drew to win by Orton costing him the title, so Drew can have a valid run, because the COVID run was okay, but it was a COVID run. And then they also, it was also reported that Cena was scheduled to go against Brock and win, and then WWE said no. Now, people are going to say it's TKO. I don't care. I think those were better results. I think it was better results. I think y'all should have gave the belt to Drew. Better yet, I don't even think that Cody should have beat Cena. Heck, Drew could have beat Cena. Why not? But now they're trying to do damage control, and apparently Cena is going to go against AJ Styles now. He only has like 3 matches left, but still. Some people provide their commentary when it comes to certain things, because sometimes it's what the subscribers ask for, right? Sometimes people do change their channel, and sometimes their channel suffers because they're saying something that they don't like. Hey, I'm the Take It Home podcast. Now, you guys know I do want to talk about video games on this channel, but sometimes I get wrapped up with the wrestling, and sometimes I got to get stuff together for that, right? Because I don't want to just have just video game stuff. You know, I did a Nintendo Switch 2 review. It did decent. I want to do a video about Sega and the consoles I have and some of the games. I want to talk about Sonic and stuff like that. But me knowing that this channel, a lot of people go to for wrestling content, they may feel a certain way about it. And sometimes when people listen to some subscribers and stuff and say, hey, why don't you talk about something else you don't like? They wind up losing their core subscribers because they're talking about something else. There's a lot of people that do it. Some people do a great job with it. Some people, like, what's his name? Gideon, he does stuff. He used to prank a lot of stuff. He used to prank people and stuff, getting haircuts in NBA games and stuff like that. Now he does predator catches and stuff, and that does very good for his channel. Shout out to him for even doing that and protecting kids and stuff like that and exposing nasty people. Some people don't have that. Some people don't have that luxury. They don't have it. I'm not saying like a luxury like he's just lucky he did that, but they don't have that option. Let me say that. He doesn't have that. Some people don't have that option to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to change stuff. I know people who had content, wrestling content, then they took all that content out and they talk about other stuff and then it just don't hit because people want to hear that. So I do want people to see that when they subscribe to the Take It Home podcast, that for the most part, that 99.9% of the content is professional wrestling. We're talking about wrestling. We're talking about if it's good. We're talking about if it's bad. We're just going to talk about it in general. You know, when TNA was doing good, I spoke about TNA doing good. When AEW had things that I liked, I talked about AEW doing things that I liked and stuff like that. So, like, if something is bad, I'm going to talk about it. And with the PLEs ain't been that good. And that's just what it is. AEW's pay-per-views, $50, not paying for that. Not paying for it because it doesn't make me excited. I think the last pay-per-view I paid for AEW was All Out. That was years ago. That was when CM Punk went against Darby Allin. That was actually one of their best pay-per-views. And it wasn't just for Punk. Punk was the main driving force, but it was a great show from end to end. They could never emulate that. They could never, ever emulate that. They have great matches, of course. They have great things, but they can't emulate the magic that they had. And I keep saying that. They had pockets and stuff. And then I always felt like, you know, even Swerve's championship run, I felt that could have been a lot better than what it was. Instead of, okay, well, we just want Bryan Danielson to win just for the sake of winning, only for him to lose it the following weekend against Jon Moxley. He didn't lose it the weekend, but I'm just saying in general. So these are the things to think about, man. Like when y'all ask, and some of y'all ask respectfully, when y'all ask why do people watch stuff that they don't like, because sometimes people do want their insight. Sometimes they want to put their insight, and sometimes they just want to do what they want to do to kill time. People do reactions to trailers, movies, video games all the time, and sometimes people just don't like it. Nintendo Directs, people look at Nintendo Directs, and most people get disappointed because Nintendo, low key, before I go, WWE is like the Nintendo of wrestling. Hear me out. Shout out to you, Arshawn. Game over. Shout out to you. Nintendo and WWE is like hand in hand, low key. I'll tell you. Nintendo and WWE is very, very successful off of selling the same thing over and over and over. Not listening to fans, also selling the same thing over and over and over. Because some people are still going to watch it. They're still going to buy it because one is convenient and stuff like that. So that's exactly what it is. On the video game side, Nintendo, they still got games that is $50 on the regular Switch. On eShop, it's crazy. They rarely do sales and stuff like that. Now, the Switch, the Switch 2, they're releasing Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, and that's gonna be like $50. Like, that's crazy. These games is like 20-something years old, which is crazy because the Nintendo Switch has a Mario All-Star Pack, which has Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy, the first one. That's how WWE does things. That's exactly how WWE does things. They do things just like that. They do things. They rehash the same stuff and they sell it. And some people buy it, and that's why they don't want to change. That is a great comparison. WWE does the same thing with storylines. Hey, we know what you guys want, so we're going to sell you this. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it don't. Nintendo is the same way. Hey, y'all guys want Super Mario? We're going to charge y'all $50. Like, even now, I have a Switch too. Donkey Kong Bonanza was $80. Very fun game. Should be game of the year. Should I pay $80 for it? Heck no, man. Did I pay it? Heck yes. I paid $80 for Donkey Kong. And then now they got a DLC that's $20. So if I spend $20 for the DLC, that's $100. Probably not gonna get the DLC, but still, that is a good way towards it. So if I feel like I believe in a product or I'm a fan of a product, and if I don't like it, I have the obligation to me, I feel like, to speak about it. Yeah, Arshawn, yeah, games is just crazy. Video games, I think, is slightly worse than WWE because video games, they keep delaying and stuff. The Wolverine game looks amazing, and they pushed it back to like a whole year. So, but still, other than that, that's just how it is. So that's how I feel about the situation. People are going to look at content that they don't like. They're going to speak about it. They're going to show it on their channel, unless it's copyright strikes and stuff like that. That's just things that people are going to do. And that's okay. And that's fine. And that's what I do. Nintendo they didn't give me good. I just wanted it because I wanted to play it. Yeah, they got good money, but still. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Happy Thursday. This is Chris Classic. Let's take it home.